Recently, payments behemoth Stripe announced it would add X402 integration, letting AI agents use USDC for payments on Base. Now, this is a huge deal because it signals that crypto payments could remain a growing theme, regardless of wider market conditions. The best part is, though, that X402 transactions have fallen off a cliff lately, and this may not be the case for much longer. Those transaction volumes could rise again soon, creating opportunities for profit for those who know where to look. That's why today we're diving deep into the X402 protocol, telling you what it is, bringing you up to speed on the latest developments, and revealing which assets could benefit the most from its adoption. My name is Guy, and you're watching the Coin Bureau. Now, in case you've never heard of X402, here's what you need to know. X402 is an open-source internet-native payment protocol that turns an old, dormant HTTP error code, 402 payment required, into an automated way to pay for digital services. Believe it or not, but X402 was created by Coinbase, and it only launched in May last year. Now, to understand why X402 is so significant, consider that right now, paying online, especially for small one-off purchases, means enduring clunky paywalls, subscriptions, or slow credit card flows. X402 changes that by enabling instant on-chain payments over HTTP, the same protocol your browser uses every time you load up a web page. But how exactly does it work? Well, X402's beauty lies in its simplicity. By adding just a few lines of code, developers can effortlessly enable their website to accept X402 payments. And when enabled, the process goes a little something like this. The client, that's you, your app, or an AI agent, requests access to a server, which has the thing that you want. The server responds with the standard 402 payment required status and includes a payment request with the required details, like the price and accepted tokens. The client then signs a payment using USDC or another supported token over HTTP and retries the request with the payment attached. Then a payment facilitator, more on that in a moment, verifies and settles the transaction on-chain. The server then confirms the payment and delivers the goods, and that's it. No accounts, no API keys, and no annoying verification. And not only that, but AI agents can pay autonomously using stablecoins over standard HTTP flows, so no human checkouts or API keys required. An AI agent can find a service, pay for it instantly, and immediately move on to its next task. Best of all, providers won't even need to set up blockchain infrastructure just to enable crypto micropayments. That's because X402 uses a helper called a facilitator, which handles all the checks for them. These facilitators confirm that the client paid the right amount with the right token before passing that confirmation to the provider. As the creator of X402, Coinbase also hosts its own facilitator on the Base blockchain with no facilitator fees. But it is important to note that Coinbase also made X402 to be chain agnostic, meaning it can run on different networks and accept various cryptocurrencies, all while using the universal language of HTTP. And since developers can integrate X402 with just a few lines of code, this makes mainstream adoption of this technology highly likely. It doesn't require complicated workarounds or advanced coding knowledge. It's basically plug and play, regulations notwithstanding. Now, we've covered the X402 protocol in greater detail in a previous video, and you can check that out right over here if you want to learn more. So then, just how much traction has X402 seen so far, and which companies are actually using it? Well, to answer that, let's go back to the beginning. In case you forgot, X402 was created by Coinbase and launched in May last year. And since USDC is the primary token used for transactions, that naturally puts Coinbase and Circle, the issuer of USDC, front and center for this technology. Since then, progress has accelerated fast. In September, Google, that little tech company you may have heard of, announced an AI agent protocol called AP2. AP2 lets agents transact with each other using cards, stablecoins, and bank transfers via the X402 extension. Notably, though, its launch was backed by Coinbase, PayPal, American Express, and the Ethereum Foundation. Also in September, Coinbase partnered with Cloudflare, a massive global network that powers millions of websites, to launch the X402 Foundation, a group literally created to drive adoption of the X402 payment protocol. The following month, Coinbase introduced a new protocol for AI agent transactions, the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. It builds on X402, letting AI agents hold wallets and send stablecoin payments to one another autonomously. Visa also joined the list of companies supporting X402 in October with its Trusted Agent Protocol, or TAP. In their announcement, Visa said they were, quote, collaborating with Coinbase to align on interoperability with X402, positioning TAP as an ecosystem-led framework for AI commerce. And speaking of which, October also saw X402 transactions explode, jumping over 10,000%, with volumes staying elevated for months. In fact, 2 weeks in November saw weekly transactions hit roughly 13.7 million. That said, though, the surge was almost entirely driven by degens doing what degens do best, chasing a shiny new narrative and pumping the hell out of it with a meme coin. Since then, activity has mostly dried up, and as I record this, weekly X402 transactions sit just above 71,000, barely a scratch on the November peak. Still, that doesn't mean X402 has been forgotten, far from it. November also saw Zuplo, an API management platform for developers, add its name to the list of companies supporting X402. Now, perhaps the craziest development, though, of all happened in mid-December, when Coinbase rolled out X402 version 2, just 7 months after the original. Basically, X402 v2 introduced wallet-based identity, automatic API discovery, dynamic payment recipients, and a fully modular SDK for custom networks. Now, this SDK simplifies custom payment flows, wallet and identity features, and support for legacy payment rails. The biggest change, though, is that version 2 standardizes network and asset identification, making X402 multi-chain by default. But the momentum didn't end there. It carried on into the new year. In late January, Amazon Web Services, or AWS, announced support for X402, while February has also been a particularly busy month. First, UQPay, a global fintech company based in Singapore, launched its own X402 stablecoin platform, fully compatible with Google's Universal Commerce Protocol, or UCP. The goal here is to bring stablecoin payments into real-world commerce by enabling autonomous AI agent transactions. Then, CoinGecko enabled the X402 extension, letting AI agents fetch token data by paying per request in USDC, no accounts or API keys needed. And that very same day, fintech giant Stripe announced that it had integrated X402, allowing developers to bill AI agents directly in USDC on the Base blockchain. And also that same very busy day, Coinbase introduced agentic wallets. As the name suggests, this is wallet infrastructure built specifically for AI agents, rather than relying on traditional crypto wallets. It lets agents transact fully autonomously with no human intervention. We truly are living in the future. And say, if you want to keep up with the latest developments in real time, then join the Coin Bureau's Telegram channel. That's where we share the latest breaking news, provide deep dive alpha, and give you the most important market updates, all pinged directly to your device so you don't miss a thing. So sign up today using the link in the description or the QR code on screen now. Okay then, so now that we know which companies are developing X402 frameworks, we can take a closer look at the crypto projects involved. Well, as you've probably guessed, since Coinbase created the X402 protocol, its own blockchain, Base, is naturally at the forefront here. That said, though, Base doesn't have its own native token, at least not yet. Base has confirmed that a native Base token is in the works. For now, though, any X402-related gains are likely to be captured by Ethereum's ETH instead, since Base is built on top of the Ethereum network. This becomes even more relevant with a new token standard called ERC 8004. Now, without getting too technical, ERC 8004 lets AI agents discover each other and establish trust. It does this through 3 on-chain registries: an identity registry that assigns each agent an NFT that basically serves as the agent's ID, a reputation registry that logs client feedback, and a validation registry that enables third-party verification of an agent's work. ERC 8004 went live on mainnet in late January and could be key to X402 adoption on Ethereum. That's because it splits protocol duties 50-50, where ERC 8004 handles agent identity and credibility, while X402 handles per-request USDC payments. Now, another major player in the X402 payment space is Solana. By early December, Solana overtook Base to become the busiest chain for X402 transactions and has remained dominant ever since. In fact, in early February, Solana handled over 90% of X402 transactions. Its speed and efficiency have led some analysts to believe that Solana will benefit most as X402 shifts from meme coin mania to serious use cases. And case in point, Standard Chartered recently forecast that Sol could hit $2,000 by 2030, saying that, quote, "We expect micropayment uses to expand as new applications are built, likely over the next 2 to 3 years, and we think Solana is uniquely positioned to capture most of this expansion." But Base and Solana aren't the only blockchains adopting X402. Chainlink has also integrated it into its runtime environment, or CRE, letting clients, human or AI, start a task, have Chainlink verify real-world data, and let X402 handle a payment. Avalanche has also implemented X402RS, basically a Rust-based version of the protocol. Then there's Near Protocol, which was actually listed among the collaborators with Coinbase that created X402, alongside AWS, Anthropic, and Circle, meaning Near has been involved from the start. In an August blog post, Near confirmed that it was aligned with Coinbase's vision for AI agents, adding that, quote, "The current focus of this partnership is on integrating liquidity from Base onto Near intents for agents to execute multi-chain transactions." Polygon has also been active, developing its own agentic payments infrastructure around X402. Polygon has positioned itself as a leading platform for agentic payments, with dedicated documentation, native facilitators, ecosystem promotion, and significant transaction activity. Meanwhile, one of the more recent additions to the list is Algorand, which in mid-February added full support of the X402 protocol on mainnet. This comes after the Algorand Foundation added X402 to Algorand's development roadmap back in August last year. And we'd be remiss if we didn't point out Cardano, which announced that it was testing X402 support on its testnet in late October. To be clear, X402 support hasn't yet been implemented on mainnet at the time of shooting, but the fact that it's been testing for months suggests it is coming soon. And so, by now, you may be wondering what catalysts could help drive X402 adoption and bring attention and capital to its related cryptos. Well, one of the most obvious drivers is further integrations with TradFi and fintech firms. This seems likely given that X402 can be added to virtually any service with just a few lines of code. As we've already seen, Amazon's AWS has embraced X402, suggesting the company could expand its use of the protocol across additional services. Similarly, Google has also opened its door to X402, and we could see similar rollouts across its cloud and AI offerings. The potential here is huge. AI agents could, for example, use X402 to manage payments, subscriptions, or even store data in the cloud. Now imagine if Visa, or another global payments giant, adopted X402 to solve key infrastructure issues. That would be a massive bullish signal that would supercharge X402's adoption. Anyway, though, speculation aside, another key catalyst is ongoing protocol development. As you'll recall, version 2 launched just 7 months after the original, so a version 3 or other updates enhancing X402 could already be in the works. With the space growing so rapidly and AI agents constantly improving, future upgrades are likely, with each building on what's already shaping up to be a very exciting ecosystem. Hackathons also play a big role in accelerating innovation. And as a fun fact, a dedicated X402 hackathon recently wrapped up between December and early January, and the next big development could very well have been built there first. These events, which happen throughout the year, often lead to creative and unexpected solutions which are announced with lots of fanfare. And one event to look out for in particular is Ethereum's DevCon, although that won't take place until November 2026. The silver lining, though, is that this gives developers plenty of time to experiment and build in preparation. On top of this, developer incentives such as grants, accelerator programs, or bug bounties could spark a wave of innovation and creative use cases even outside the walls of an organized event. Beyond these, there are other catalysts that could accelerate X402's growth even further. For instance, regulatory clarity or approvals in major markets could make institutions far more comfortable integrating the protocol. But perhaps the biggest catalyst will be simply seeing X402 in action. As we witness AI agents using the protocol successfully, this could create a snowball effect. And in this scenario, businesses and crypto projects would be scrambling to add X402's support of their own, hoping to cash in on the possibilities that this innovative tech opens up. So then, this begs the question of which assets could benefit most from X402's growth. Obviously, some potential winners will be the cryptos I mentioned earlier, and to refresh your memory, these include, but aren't necessarily limited to, Ethereum's ETH, Solana's Sol, Chainlink's Link, Avalanche's AVAX, Near Protocol's Near, Polygon's Pol, and Algorand's Algo. Cardano's ADA is another possibility, assuming that X402 is deployed on mainnet, as is Base's native Base token, if or when it launches. That said, though, the biggest gainer of X402's growth will arguably be USDC, the stablecoin most frequently used for transactions on the protocol. Other stablecoins like USDT and USDS, formerly DAI, could also see significant growth, especially if they become more broadly used for payments. Now, I know what you're thinking here. Holding stablecoins won't exactly pump your bags, and, well, you're right. But if you want maximum gain potential and don't mind taking on the extra risk, there are plenty of other options. The most speculative plays could be the utility tokens for crypto projects building the tools and services that support X402's development. There are dozens to choose from, and you'll have to do your research on those in your own time. Pro tip though, you can find a lot of these projects under the Ecosystem tab of x402.org. We'll leave a link to that resource in the description below. We also covered a handful of these projects in our previous video, and I'll remind you that you can find that in the description too. But what if you want exposure to x402 but without holding risky, highly speculative crypto assets? Well, thankfully there are two options here. One is Coinbase's CoinStock, which could also grow as Base captures x402's economic activity. Or alternatively, you could consider Circle's CRCL stock, which could also see serious growth the more that USDC is used across x402 payments. Just keep in mind, though, that these crypto stocks will likely trade with the broader market, especially in the short term. In the long term, though, the x402 space clearly has serious growth potential. And while transaction volumes have plummeted for now, this means that any prolonged drawdown in related assets could be a big opportunity. All right, folks, that's quite enough from me for today, but what do you think? Are you bullish on x402, or is this just a passing fad? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to learn more about the war between banks and Coinbase, then check out the video right over here. And if you want to see how Tether is coming after USDC, then check out the video over here. Okay, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again soon. This is Guy, signing off.